name is Harold. I'm 68 years old. And what I discovered in my own home shattered everything I believed about the people I love. You spend your whole life building something, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice. You work until your hands bleed and your back breaks. You go without so your children can have more. You tell yourself it's worth it. That family is everything. That blood is thicker than water. And then one day, you realize that the people you gave everything to see you as nothing more than a walking bank account. A convenience, an obstacle standing between them and what they think they deserve. My son, my own flesh and blood, looked me in the eyes and said, "You'll die alone, old man, and no one will care." Those words, I can still hear them, still feel the venom dripping from every syllable. He thought he'd broken me, thought he'd won, thought the old man would just roll over and accept being discarded like trash. But I smiled, reached into my pocket, and handed him my lawyer's card. The look on his face, I'll never forget it. See, he didn't know what I'd discovered. Didn't know I'd been watching, listening, documenting, planning. He thought I was a fool, a weak, senile old man who'd hand over everything he'd built just to avoid conflict. He was wrong. But what I saw that night, what I uncovered in the weeks that followed, I'll never forget it. Before I continue, I need to ask you something. If you're listening to this and you feel that tightness in your chest, that recognition of your own story and mine, please, like this video, subscribe to this channel. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Because right now, I feel like I'm shouting into the void. I need to know that someone out there understands, that I'm not the only parent who's been betrayed by the children they sacrificed everything for. It helps me know someone out there still believes in stories like this, that someone still cares about what happens to old men like me. Let me take you back to when I still believed in fairy tales, when I still thought that if you loved hard enough, sacrificed enough, gave enough, your family would love you back. I'm a simple man. Always have been. Grew up poor in a small town outside Pittsburgh. My father worked in the steel mills until they closed. Watched him drink himself to death after they laid him off. Watched my mother work 3 jobs to keep food on the table. I promised myself my children would never know that kind of poverty, never feel that kind of desperation, so I worked. God, did I work. Started as a janitor at an office building downtown. 22 years old, newly married to my wife, Catherine. We had nothing. Lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with broken heating and roaches in the walls. But we were happy. At least, I thought we were. When our son Gregory was born, I was working 2 jobs, janitorial work during the day, stocking shelves at a grocery store at night. I'd see him for maybe an hour a day if I was lucky. Catherine would complain, said I was never home, said Gregory needed his father. "I'm doing this for him," I'd tell her, "so he can have a better life than I did." She didn't understand. Or maybe she did and just didn't care. 3 years later, our daughter Vanessa was born. By then, I'd worked my way up. Got hired as a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing plant. Better pay, better hours, still not enough. I took night classes, business management, worked during the day, studied at night, slept 4, maybe 5 hours if I was lucky. "You're killing yourself," Catherine said. "I'm building our future," I replied. By the time I was 40, I'd started my own business, a small construction company. Just me and 3 guys at first. We did renovations, repairs, small commercial projects. I poured everything into it, every dollar, every hour, every ounce of energy I had. And it grew. Slowly at first, then faster. Within 10 years, we had 20 employees. Within 15, we were bidding on major contracts, shopping centers, office buildings, municipal projects. The money started coming in. Real money. The kind I'd never dreamed of as a kid watching my father drink away his pride. I bought us a house. A real house. 4 bedrooms in a good neighborhood with good schools. Gregory and Vanessa each had their own rooms. Their own bathrooms. Everything I'd never had. I paid for private schools, piano lessons, soccer leagues, summer camps. Everything they wanted, I provided. College? I paid every penny. Gregory went to a prestigious university out of state. Vanessa went to an expensive private college for art and design. No student loans, no debt. I made sure of it. "Dad, you don't have to do this," Gregory said once when he was 19. "I can take out loans." "Absolutely not. No son of mine is starting his adult life in debt. I've got this." And I did have it, because I worked for it. 80-hour weeks, missed birthdays, missed recitals, missed games. But I provided. That's what fathers do. They provide. Catherine left me when Gregory was 25, said she'd been unhappy for years, said I'd chosen work over her, over the family. "I did this for the family," I told her. "No, Harold, you did this for you, to prove something to a dead father who never loved you, and you sacrificed us in the process." Her words hurt, but I told myself she was wrong. She didn't understand sacrifice, didn't understand what it took to build something from nothing. She took half in the divorce. That was fine. I'd rebuild. I always did. The kids sided with her at first. I understood. She was their mother. She'd been there for the day-to-day stuff while I was building the business, but slowly they came back around. Especially when they needed something. Gregory needed help with a down payment on a house. I was there. Vanessa needed money to start her own design business. I wrote the check. Car repairs, medical bills, vacations, whatever they needed, I provided. Because that's what love looks like, right? Sacrifice, provision, taking care of your children even when they're adults. I was 65 when I decided to retire. The business was thriving. I'd built something real, something valuable. I planned to sell it, split the proceeds with my children, set them up for life. Gregory was 40 by then, married with 2 kids, working a mid-level management job he complained about constantly. Vanessa was 37, twice divorced. Her design business had failed. She was living off freelance work and whatever money I sent her. I invited them both to dinner at my house, made their favorite meal, pot roast, just like my mother used to make. "I have something important to discuss," I told them. They looked at each other, smiled, like they knew what was coming. "I'm planning to sell the business. I've gotten a very good offer. After taxes and expenses, there'll be about $3 million. Gregory's eyes lit up. Vanessa actually gasped. "I'm planning to divide it between the 2 of you. After I set aside enough for my retirement, you'll each get about $1 million. They were ecstatic, hugging me, thanking me, telling me how much they appreciated everything I'd done. It felt good, really good, like all the sacrifice had been worth it, like I'd finally succeeded as a father. "There's just one thing," I added. "Before I sell, I want to make sure the business goes to someone who'll take care of the employees. Some of them have been with me for 20 years. I need to find the right buyer." "Of course, Dad," Gregory said. "Take your time. We're not in a rush." But they were. Oh, they were. And soon I started noticing small things that didn't make sense. Small things that at first I dismissed, explained away, rationalized. But small things that were really warning signs of something dark, something cruel, something I never imagined my own children capable of. It started with phone calls. Gregory started calling me every day, sometimes twice a day. "Just checking in, Dad, making sure you're okay." At first, I thought it was sweet, thoughtful. My son actually cared about his old man. But the conversations always drifted to the same topic, the business sale. Any updates on potential buyers? Have you signed anything yet? What's the timeline looking like? When I'd tell him I was still vetting options, still making sure everything was handled properly, his tone would shift, become impatient, almost annoyed. Dad, you're overthinking this. Just take the best offer and be done with it. It's not that simple, Gregory. I have responsibilities to my employees. Your employees will be fine. You need to think about yourself, about your family. His family, he meant. His needs. Vanessa was different, but equally troubling. She started showing up unannounced. Just wanted to see how you're doing, Dad. She'd walk through the house like she was appraising it, touching things, asking questions. Is this antique? Is this worth anything? Vanessa, why are you asking? Just curious. You have a lot of nice things. I'm just wondering about, the future. The future. Meaning, what happens when you die, old man? She started dropping hints about her financial situation, the landlord raising her rent, her car needing expensive repairs, credit card debt piling up. I know you're selling the business soon, so I shouldn't ask, but... And then she'd ask. For money. Always for money. I gave it to her. Because she was my daughter. Because I'd always given her what she needed. But each time the guilt trip got heavier. I wish Mom had been fair in the divorce. Then I wouldn't have to keep asking you for help. If you'd spent more time with us growing up instead of working, maybe I'd have learned better financial management. Blaming me. For everything. While asking for money. Then they started talking to each other about me, coordinating. I overheard a phone conversation one day. Gregory was at my house, thought I was in the garage. He's stalling. I don't know why. Maybe he's getting cold feet about giving us the money. Yeah, I know. We need to push harder. What if we talk to a lawyer, see what our options are? No, not like that. Just to understand our rights. In case he changes his mind or tries to give it all to some charity or something. My rights? Our rights? The money wasn't even theirs yet, and they were talking about legal options. The next Sunday, I invited them both to lunch. Thought maybe we could talk, clear the air. They showed up together. That was unusual. They rarely coordinated anything. Over lunch, they started making suggestions. Dad, we've been thinking, Gregory started. You're getting older. Living in this big house alone can't be easy. I'm fine. I like my house. But what if something happens? What if you fall? Have a heart attack? Who will find you? Vanessa added. I'm 68, not 90. I'm in good health. Still, we think you should consider moving into a retirement community, something with medical staff on site. I don't need medical staff. I need my home. They exchanged a look, one of those looks that says they'd already discussed this. Decided on a strategy. We're just worried about you, Gregory said. But his tone wasn't worried. It was annoyed. Well, don't be. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself. The conversation moved on, but the tension remained. As they were leaving, I overheard Vanessa whisper to Gregory, He's being stubborn. We might need to consider other options. Other options? What the hell did that mean? I started paying closer attention after that, watching, listening. Gregory stopped calling every day. But when he did call, he was short, clipped, like talking to me was a chore. Vanessa stopped visiting, but she'd text me long messages about how stressed she was, how hard life was, how she was barely holding on financially. I know the business sale is coming soon, I just need to make it a few more months. It felt like they were just waiting waiting for me to die or sell the business so they could get what they thought was theirs. I tried talking to them about it. Gregory, is everything okay between us? You seem distant. Everything's fine, Dad. Just busy with work and the kids. Vanessa, honey, you know you can talk to me about anything, right? I know, Dad. I just need some time to figure things out on my own. But they weren't figuring things out. They were calculating, planning, waiting. One evening, I went to Gregory's house for dinner. His wife, Patricia, was there. My grandchildren, Sophie, age 12, and Carter, age 9. The kids were excited to see me. We played in the yard. I helped Carter with his homework. Listened to Sophie tell me about her soccer tournament. But Gregory and Patricia stayed in the kitchen, talking in low voices. I went inside to get water, heard fragments of conversation. If he doesn't sell soon, we'll have to take out another loan. Maybe we can convince him to give us an advance. Worst case, we wait until he dies. The house alone is probably worth $700,000. I stood there frozen. They were discussing my death like it was a business transaction, a financial solution. They stopped talking when they saw me. Everything okay, Dad? Fine. Just getting some water. But nothing was fine. Nothing. I drove home that night in a daze. These were my children, the babies I'd held, the kids I'd worked myself to exhaustion for, and they were waiting for me to die. He stopped smiling at me. She stopped looking me in the eyes. And I didn't know why. Actually, that's a lie. Deep down, I did know why. I just didn't want to believe it. Until one night when everything became crystal clear. I saw something that made my heart stop. I couldn't sleep that night. Couldn't stop thinking about what I'd heard. About Gregory and Patricia discussing my death like it was a payday they were waiting on. Maybe I'd misheard. Maybe they were talking about someone else. Maybe I was being paranoid in my old age. That's what I told myself, over and over. But the evidence kept piling up. I got a call from my bank the next week, Fraud Prevention Department. Mr. Whitmore, we're calling about some unusual activity on your account. Someone tried to access your account online using your information. The login was unsuccessful, but we wanted to alert you. I didn't try to log in. I don't use online banking. We suspected as much. We've flagged the attempt. You may want to change your passwords and security questions. Where did the attempt come from? An IP address in your city, that's all we can tell you. I changed everything. Passwords. Security questions, added extra verification. But I kept wondering, who tried to access my account? 2 weeks later, I got another call. This time from my estate attorney, Bernard Kowalski. We'd known each other for 30 years. Harold, I got a strange call today. Someone claiming to be your son asking about your will. My blood ran cold. What did they want to know? Whether you'd updated it recently, who the beneficiaries were. I didn't tell him anything, of course, client confidentiality, but I wanted you to know. It was Gregory. He said he was. Sounded like him, said he was just checking to make sure everything was in order for when the time comes. When the time comes. Like my death was scheduled, inevitable soon. Bernard, I need to ask you something. Is it normal for adult children to inquire about their parents' wills? He was quiet for a moment. In my experience, not unless there's a reason. Either genuine concern about estate planning or financial interest. Which do you think this was? Harold, I've known you a long time, and I've handled enough estate disputes to recognize the warning signs. Your son wasn't calling out of concern. He was calling to inventory his future assets. The words hit like a punch to the gut. What should I do? That depends. Do you still want to leave everything to your children? I don't know anymore. then maybe it's time to reconsider. You have options, trusts, conditions, alternative beneficiaries. Think about it. And Harold, be careful. Money makes people do terrible things, even family. I spent the next week in a fog, going through the motions, trying to reconcile the children I'd raised with the people they'd become. Maybe I'd been a bad father. Maybe Catherine was right. Maybe I'd worked too much, been absent too much, and this was the result. Maybe they resented me. Maybe this was payback. I called an old friend, Vincent Chin, a therapist I'd met through business circles years ago. Vincent, hypothetically speaking, if your adult children were only interested in your money, would that be your fault as a parent? Harold, what's going on? I told him everything. The conversations, the bank incident, the call to my lawyer. He listened without interrupting. Here's the hard truth, he said when I finished. You can be the best parent in the world and still raise selfish children. You can also be a flawed parent and raise compassionate ones. Parenting matters, but so does character. Some people are just takers. They see relationships as transactional, and unfortunately, sometimes those people are our own children. So it's not my fault? Does it matter? What matters is what you do now. Do you keep enabling behavior that disrespects you? Or do you set boundaries? Boundaries. With my own children. They'll hate me if I don't give them what they expect. They might. But Harold? They already don't respect you. Hate and disrespect aren't that different when it comes from people who only see you as an ATM. His words stung because they were true. I decided to test them, to see if I was wrong, to see if maybe there was still love underneath the greed. I called Gregory and Vanessa, invited them to dinner again. I need to talk to you both about something important. They came eagerly. Probably thought I was announcing the business sale was final. Over dinner, I made an announcement. I've been thinking a lot about my legacy, about what matters, and I've decided to make some changes. They leaned in, smiling, expectant. I'm not going to sell the business. The smiles froze. What? Vanessa said. I've decided to transition it into a worker-owned cooperative. My employees will become shareholders. When I retire, they'll run it together. Silence. Dead silence. But what about us? Gregory finally said. What about you? You said you promised we'd get the money from the sale. I said I planned to split it. Plans change. Dad, you can't do this. Vanessa's voice was rising. We've been counting on that money. Why? You're both adults with jobs. Why are you counting on my money? Because you're our father, Gregory said. Because you owe us. I owe you? Yes. You were never there for us growing up. You chose work over us. The least you can do is make sure we're taken care of financially. There it was, the truth, laid bare. I didn't owe them love or time or presence. I owed them money. That's all I'd ever been to them. I worked so you could have opportunities I never had. I paid for everything, your education, your homes, your emergencies. How much more do I owe you? This is different, Vanessa said. This is about family, about taking care of your children. You're 40 and 37 years old. When do you stop being children and start being adults? Gregory stood up. His face was red, angry. Fine. You want to throw away everything you built, give it to a bunch of employees who aren't even family? Fine. But don't expect us to be around when you're old and sick and dying. Don't expect us to take care of you. Gregory? No. You're making a choice, Dad. And so are we. He stormed out. Vanessa followed, crying. I sat there alone at the dining table. The pot roast getting cold. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was being cruel. Maybe I should just give them what they wanted. But the next morning, the evidence was right in front of me, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. The next morning, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject: You should know what they're saying about you. I opened it. It contained a link to a private Facebook group. The message said, "Your son and daughter added me to this group by accident. They meant to add someone else. I thought you should see." I clicked the link. My hands were shaking. It was a private group. Only 3 members: Gregory, Vanessa, and someone named Patricia, Gregory's wife. The group was titled, Dad's Estate Planning. I scrolled through the posts, months of posts. Gregory, 3 months ago. Dad's definitely showing signs of dementia, repeating himself, forgetting conversations. We might be able to use that. Vanessa: Are you sure? He seemed fine when I saw him last week. Gregory: It comes and goes, but it's getting worse. If we can document it, we can make the case for conservatorship. Patricia: Isn't that extreme? Gregory: Maybe, but if he tries to give away the business, we need options. Conservatorship means we control his finances. I felt sick, actually physically sick. I kept reading. Vanessa, 2 months ago. He's being stubborn about the house, refuses to move into assisted living. We need to push harder. Gregory: Or we wait. He's 68. His father died at 72. Statistically, we're probably looking at less than 5 years. Vanessa: That's morbid. Gregory: It's realistic. And honestly, might be better. No arguments about how the money gets divided. They were waiting for me to die, actually planning around my expected death. More posts. Patricia, 1 month ago. Greg: Your dad tried to call me today, said he wanted to talk. I didn't answer. Was that okay? Gregory: Good. We need to present a united front. No private conversations. He might try to manipulate you. Manipulate. Me. The person they were scheming against. Vanessa: 3 weeks ago. I'm really stressed about money. How much longer until the business sells? Gregory: He says he's not selling anymore. Talking about some worker cooperative bullshit. Vanessa: He can't do that. That's our money. Gregory: It's not our money until he's dead, and legally he can do whatever he wants with his assets. Vanessa: Then we need to stop him. There has to be a way. Gregory: I'm looking into it. Talk to a lawyer about elder abuse claims. If we can show he's not mentally competent. Vanessa: Is he? Mentally competent? Gregory: Does it matter? I stopped reading. Couldn't read anymore. My own children, planning to have me declared incompetent, filing false elder abuse claims, all to get control of money that wasn't even theirs. I took screenshots of everything, every post, every conversation, backed them up in multiple places. Then I called Bernard, my attorney. I need to see you, today. It's urgent. We met at his office an hour later. I showed him the Facebook posts, watched his face darken as he read. Harold: This is conspiracy to commit fraud, at minimum. Possibly attempted theft. You could file charges. Against my own children? They're not acting like your children. They're acting like criminals. What should I do? First, we protect your assets. We create an ironclad trust. Everything goes into it. You maintain control during your lifetime. After your death, it gets distributed according to your wishes, not theirs. And then you decide how much, if anything, they get. You can disinherit them entirely if you want. Can I do that? Legally? Absolutely. You have no obligation to leave them anything, especially given their behavior. What about grandchildren? Sophie and Carter? You can create separate trusts for them. Money they receive when they turn 25 for education and life expenses, completely bypassing Gregory and Vanessa. I thought about Sophie and Carter. They were good kids, innocent. This wasn't their fault. Yes, I want to do that. For the grandkids. Smart. Now, regarding Gregory and Vanessa themselves, do you want to give them anything? I thought about it. Thought about all the years of sacrifice, all the money I'd given them, all the times I'd believed their lies. Not yet. I want to see what they do next. I want to see if there's any humanity left in them. Fair enough. But Harold, you need to be careful. Document everything. Don't be alone with them. Don't sign anything they give you. Don't eat or drink anything they prepare. You think they'd hurt me? Physically? I think desperate people do desperate things, and your children are very desperate. That night I installed security cameras in my house, hidden ones, the kind you can't see, living room, kitchen, hallway, entrances. If they came to my house, I'd have footage, evidence. I also installed a recording app on my phone. Every conversation would be captured. I felt like a spy in my own life. But I had to know. Had to see how far they'd go. I called Gregory the next day. Son, I want to apologize. I was harsh the other night. Can we talk? About what? About the business, about the money. Maybe we can work something out. Silence. Then, okay, when? Come to the house tonight. 7 o'clock, just you. He agreed. Too quickly, too eagerly. That night I pressed record and waited. Gregory arrived at 7 sharp. I was in the living room, sitting in my favorite chair, looking every bit the frail old man he thought I was. He came in with a folder, smiled at me. The smile didn't reach his eyes. Hey, Dad, thanks for inviting me over. Of course, you're my son. We should be able to talk. He sat down across from me, opened the folder. I brought some documents, things I think you should look at. What kind of documents? Power of attorney papers. It would give me the ability to handle your finances if you're unable to. Just as a precaution. I'm not unable to handle my finances. I know, Dad, but you're getting older. It's just smart planning. And there's this, too. He pulled out another document. It's a listing agreement for the house. I found a real estate agent. We can get this place on the market, get you moved into a nice assisted living facility, one with medical staff, activities, other people your age. I don't want to sell my house. Dad, be reasonable. This place is too big for you, and honestly, maintaining it at your age is a safety hazard. What if you fall on the stairs? What if something happens and no one finds you for days? I'm 68, not 90. His jaw tightened. The mask was slipping. Dad, I'm trying to help you. Are you? Or are you trying to liquidate my assets so you can get your inheritance faster? His face went red. That's not fair. Isn't it? You tried to access my bank account. You called my lawyer asking about my will. You created a Facebook group dedicated to discussing my estate while I'm still alive. He went pale. Actually pale. How do you... No. I know everything, Gregory. I know you and your sister have been planning this. I know you discussed having me declared incompetent. I know you've been counting down the days until I die so you can cash in. He stood up, started pacing. Dad, you don't understand. We're drowning. Patricia lost her job. We have 2 kids in private school. The mortgage, car payments, credit card debt. We need help. So get jobs, cut expenses. Do what every other struggling family does. Don't plot to steal from your father. It's not stealing. It's our inheritance. It's my money, money I earned, and I can do whatever I want with it. You're being selfish. After everything we've been through, after having an absent father our whole lives, the least you can do is help us now. There it was again. The justification. the blame. Everything was my fault for working too much. So now I owed them everything. Gregory, I gave you everything. Paid for your education, your wedding, your house down payment. How much is enough? It's not about enough. It's about being family, about taking care of each other. Taking care goes both ways. When have you taken care of me? We would. If you'd let us. If you'd stop being so goddamn stubborn and independent. You mean if I'd stop being an obstacle to your inheritance? He froze, realized what he'd revealed. Get out, I said quietly. Dad, get out of my house. Take your papers with you. And don't come back unless you're ready to apologize and actually mean it. He grabbed the folder, headed for the door, then turned back. You know what, Dad? Fine. You want to die alone in this house? Go ahead. But don't call me when you need help. Don't call me when you're sick. Don't call me when you realize you have no one. I'd rather die alone than be surrounded by vultures picking at my corpse while I'm still breathing. His face twisted with rage. You'll regret this. You're an old man. You think you're strong, but you're not. You need us more than we need you. We'll see about that. He left, slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. I sat there for a long moment. Then I pulled out my phone, stopped the recording. I had everything: his words, his threats, his manipulation attempts. But that wasn't even the worst of it. 2 weeks later, I got a certified letter, a court summons. Gregory and Vanessa had filed a petition for conservatorship, claimed I was mentally unfit to manage my own affairs, claimed I was showing signs of dementia and financial irresponsibility. They'd actually done it, actually tried to take legal control of my life. I called Bernard immediately. They filed? They did. We have a court date in 30 days. What do I need to do? Get a medical evaluation from your doctor. Get a cognitive assessment from a neuropsychologist. Document your mental competence thoroughly, and bring every piece of evidence you have of their scheme. I did all of it, passed every test, got signed statements from my doctor and 2 neuropsychologists confirming I was completely mentally sound. And then I did something else. I called a private investigator. I need you to look into my son and daughter. Financial records, social media, anything that shows their true motivation for this conservatorship petition. The investigator was expensive. I didn't care. She came back 3 weeks later with a file so thick I could barely lift it. Gregory was in debt. Over $200,000. Credit cards, personal loans, second mortgage on his house. He'd been using my money, the money I'd given him over the years for emergencies, to pay off gambling debts. He had a serious problem, lost thousands regularly at casinos. Vanessa was worse. She'd been evicted from 2 apartments in the last 4 years, had outstanding debts with collection agencies. Her design business hadn't just failed, she'd scammed multiple clients, taking deposits and never delivering work. Both of them had been telling their friends that once they got control of Dad's estate, all their problems would be solved. I froze. My whole world collapsed in a single frame. These weren't my children anymore. They were strangers, criminals, wearing the faces of the babies I'd held, the kids I'd raised. But what happened next was even worse. The court hearing was scheduled for December 15th. 3 days before, Vanessa called me. Her voice was soft, apologetic. Dad, can we talk? Just you and me? I don't think that's a good idea. Please. I want to apologize. Really apologize. Can I come over? Against my better judgment, I agreed. She arrived that evening, looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. Dad, I'm so sorry. About everything. The conservatorship petition, the things we said, the way we've been treating you. I said nothing, just waited. Gregory's been in my ear constantly, telling me you were trying to cut us out, that we had to protect ourselves. I should never have listened to him. But you did. I know, and I'm ashamed. You're my father. You've always taken care of me, and I repaid you by trying to steal from you. Tears streamed down her face. Real tears, or convincing fake ones. I want to drop the petition. I've already told my lawyer I want to fix this. Please, Dad. Please give me another chance. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe that one of my children still had a soul. Why should I believe you? Because I'm your daughter. Because I love you. And because I'm willing to prove it. How? I'll sign an affidavit stating that I was wrong, that you're completely mentally competent, that the petition was filed in error. I'll publicly withdraw from the case. That would gut Gregory's petition. Without both children claiming incompetence, the case would fall apart. Why would you do that? Because it's the right thing to do. And because I'm tired of being the person I've become. I don't like who I am anymore. We talked for 2 hours. She told me about her struggles, her mistakes, her regrets. She seemed genuine, broken, sorry. Okay, I finally said. Okay, if you sign that affidavit, if you withdraw from the petition, we can start to rebuild. She hugged me, held me tight. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you for giving me another chance. She left. I felt hopeful. Like maybe one of them could be saved. The next morning I woke up feeling strange, dizzy, nauseous. My vision was blurry. I tried to stand, fell, hit the floor hard. I managed to crawl to my phone, called 911. I think I've been poisoned. The ambulance arrived, rushed me to the hospital. Blood tests, toxicology screens, the works. The doctor came in 4 hours later. Mr. Whitmore, you had a significant amount of sedatives in your system. Benzodiazepines. Did you take anything? Any new medications? No, nothing. Did you eat or drink anything unusual? I thought back. Vanessa had made me tea, said she wanted to do something nice for me. I'd drunk it all. My daughter, she made me tea last night. The doctor's face darkened. We need to call the police. No, not yet. I need to handle this differently. I checked myself out against medical advice. Went straight to Bernard's office. She tried to drug me, maybe kill me. I don't know. But I woke up this morning barely able to move. Harold, you need to file charges. This is attempted murder. Or maybe she was just trying to make me seem incompetent, show up to court drugged and confused, prove their case. Either way, it's a crime. I know. But I want to see this through. I want to face them in court, show them they failed. You're sure? I'm sure. But Bernard? After this is over? I'm done. Completely done. They get nothing. Not a penny. Not a photograph. Nothing. I'll draft a new will immediately. The court date arrived. I showed up with Bernard, my medical records, my psychiatric evaluations, and evidence of every scheme my children had attempted. Gregory and his lawyer were there. Vanessa was not. She'd withdrawn, just as she'd promised. But she'd also tried to drug me. That betrayal cut deeper than anything Gregory had done. The hearing lasted 3 hours. Gregory's lawyer presented their case, claimed I was showing signs of cognitive decline, claimed I was making irrational decisions about my assets, claimed they were acting out of concern and love. Then it was our turn. Bernard presented medical evaluations from 3 different doctors, all confirmed perfect cognitive function. He presented the Facebook group posts, the conversation about waiting for me to die, the discussion of falsely claiming incompetence. He presented evidence of Gregory's gambling debts and Vanessa's frauds. He presented the recording from Gregory's visit to my house, his threats, his rage, his admission that this was about money, not my welfare. The judge's face grew darker with each piece of evidence. When we finished, he looked at Gregory with disgust. "Mr. Whitmore, I've been a family court judge for 23 years. I've seen adult children try to exploit their aging parents more times than I can count. But this case is particularly egregious. Not only is your father clearly mentally competent, but the evidence shows you and your sister conspired to defraud him for personal financial gain." Gregory's lawyer tried to object. The judge held up a hand. "I'm dismissing this petition with prejudice. That means it cannot be refiled. Furthermore, I'm issuing a restraining order. Neither you nor your sister may contact your father directly. All communication must go through attorneys." Gregory's face went white. "Your Honor, I'm not finished. I'm referring this case to the district attorney's office for possible criminal charges. What you've done may constitute elder abuse, conspiracy to commit fraud, and possibly attempted theft." The judge turned to me. "Mr. Whitmore, I'm sorry you've had to endure this. No parent should be treated this way by their children. You're free to manage your estate as you see fit." He banged the gavel. It was over. Gregory stood there, frozen. Then he looked at me. Really looked at me. And I smiled. Reached into my pocket, pulled out my lawyer's business card, and handed it to him. "For when the district attorney calls you, you're going to need representation." His hand shook as he took it. "Dad, You said I'd die alone, old man, that no one would care. You were wrong. I won't die alone. I'll die free, free of you, free of your sister, free of the burden of children who only see me as a bank account." I walked out of that courtroom with my head high. I thought it was over. But I was wrong. The district attorney did file charges. Against both of them. Gregory was charged with attempted fraud and conspiracy. Vanessa with attempted fraud and assault with a controlled substance. The news made local headlines. Local businessmen's children face charges for exploitation scheme. My phone rang constantly. Friends, former colleagues, people from my past, all expressing shock, offering support, apologizing for not seeing the signs. But I also got hate mail. People telling me I was a terrible father, that I'd driven my children to desperation, that I was selfish for not just giving them the money, anonymous letters, cruel messages on social media. What kind of father presses charges against his own children? They're your blood. You should help them, not destroy them. You work too much and now you're mad they don't worship you. This is your fault. Part of me wondered if they were right. If I'd been a better father, more present, more emotionally available, would things have turned out differently? I went back to therapy with Vincent. "Harold, you can't change the past. You can only control what you do now. And what you're doing, setting boundaries, protecting yourself, that's healthy." "That's right. But they're my children." "They're adults who tried to rob you and potentially harm you. The fact that you share DNA doesn't excuse that." "What about forgiveness?" "Forgiveness is for you, not for them. It means you stop carrying the poison of anger. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. You can forgive and still maintain boundaries." The trial took 8 months. Gregory pleaded guilty to conspiracy. Got 3 years probation, a hefty fine, and mandatory restitution. Vanessa fought the charges, claimed she hadn't known the tea was drugged, that she'd been trying to help me sleep because I'd mentioned insomnia. The jury didn't believe her, found her guilty of assault. She got 18 months in prison, 18 months, for trying to drug her own father. The day of her sentencing, She looked at me from across the courtroom, mouthed the words, "I'm sorry." I looked away. My grandchildren, Sophie and Carter, were kept from me during all of this. Gregory's wife, Patricia, had full custody, and she refused to let me see them. "You put their father through hell," she said when I called. "You turned your back on your own son. We don't want you in their lives." That hurt. More than Gregory's betrayal. More than Vanessa's crime. Because Sophie and Carter were innocent, and I was losing them because their parents were monsters. I hired a family law attorney, fought for grandparents' visitation rights. It took another year, another court battle. But I won. Won the right to see them twice a month. The first visit was awkward. They were confused, didn't understand why they hadn't seen me, why their father was angry, why everything had changed. "Grandpa, did you really send Daddy to court?" Sophie asked. She was 14 now, old enough to understand some of it. "Yes." "Why?" "Because sometimes people do things that are wrong, and when they do wrong things, there have to be consequences, even when you love them." "But he's your son." "He is, and I love him, but I couldn't let him hurt me. Just like if someone tried to hurt you, I'd protect you, even if it was hard." She thought about that. "Are you lonely, Grandpa?" The question hit me hard. "Sometimes, but I'm okay. I have friends, I have my work, and now I have you again." Carter, who was 11, had been quiet the whole time. Then he said, "Mom says you're mean, but you don't seem mean. Your mom is hurt and angry. Sometimes when people are hurt, they say things that aren't fair." "Did you really take all their money?" "No. I kept my money. The money I earned. I didn't give it to them. There's a difference." He nodded like he understood. Maybe he did. We spent the afternoon together, slowly, carefully rebuilding something that might never be what it was, but could still be meaningful. As for Gregory and Vanessa, I haven't spoken to them in 3 years. I heard Gregory lost his job, that Patricia filed for divorce, that he's living in a small apartment and working for a fraction of what he used to make. I heard Vanessa got out of prison after 14 months, that she moved to another state, that she's working as a waitress, living with roommates, trying to rebuild. Part of me feels satisfaction, justice. They tried to destroy me and instead destroyed themselves. But part of me, the father part that never quite dies, feels grief. For the children they could have been, for the relationship we could have had. I changed my will. Everything goes into trusts for Sophie and Carter, managed by independent trustees until they're 30. Gregory and Vanessa are explicitly excluded. I donated $1 million to a foundation that helps elderly victims of financial abuse by family members. I did eventually transition my business to a worker cooperative. The employees who'd been with me for years now own shares. They'll benefit from everything I built. I kept enough for myself to live comfortably, travel, enjoy my remaining years. I'm 71 now. 3 years since the court hearing. And I'm not alone. I have friends. Real friends. People who value me for who I am, not what I have. I have Sophie and Carter. We're building something new, something based on truth instead of obligation. I have peace. Finally. Peace that comes from knowing I don't owe anyone my dignity, not even my children. And just when I thought life was returning to normal, something unexpected happened. I met someone. Her name is Ruth. She's 69, a widow. Her husband died 5 years ago. We met at a community center event, started talking, realized we had a lot in common, including children who'd tried to exploit us. Her daughter had tried to pressure her into signing over her house. Her son had stolen money from her retirement account. I pressed charges too, she told me on our third coffee date. Everyone said I was being cruel, but you know what? I'm not a piggy bank. I'm a human being. And so are you. We understood each other in a way most people couldn't. 6 months later, we started dating seriously. A year after that, we moved in together. Nothing fancy, just companionship, support, love without conditions or ulterior motives. Gregory found out through Sophie. Sent me an email. The first communication in 3 years. Congratulations on your new relationship. I hope she doesn't disappoint you like everyone else in your life has. The bitterness. The inability to see his own role in our estrangement. It was sad. I didn't respond. Vanessa sent me a card for my 71st birthday, from whatever city she'd moved to. Dad, I know I hurt you. I know I can't undo what I did. But I want you to know I'm working on myself. I'm in therapy. I'm facing what I did. And I'm sorry. Truly sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know. I kept the card. Didn't respond. But I kept it. Maybe someday. Maybe. Here's what I've learned from all of this. Family is not an obligation to be exploited. It's a relationship built on mutual respect and love. Just because someone is your child doesn't mean they get unlimited access to your resources or your dignity. Your children are not entitled to your money. You earned it. You decide what to do with it. Setting boundaries is not cruel. It's self-respect. And if someone tells you you'll die alone for protecting yourself, they're wrong. You'll die alone if you let people take and take and take until there's nothing left of you. But if you stand up, set limits, protect yourself, you'll die with your dignity intact. And that matters more than being surrounded by people who only showed up for the inheritance. I want to say something directly to anyone watching this who's going through something similar. Your adult children are not your responsibility anymore. You've raised them, provided for them. Your job is done. If they're struggling financially, that's not your problem to fix, especially if they're spending irresponsibly or expecting you to fund their lifestyle. If they're treating you like an ATM, you have every right to close the account. If they're plotting against you, gathering evidence of dementia that doesn't exist, discussing your death like it's a business opportunity, you don't owe them anything. Press charges if you need to, change your will if you need to, cut contact if you need to. Your peace matters. Your dignity matters. Your remaining years matter. Don't let guilt or societal pressure or fear of dying alone make you tolerate abuse. Because here's the truth. Dying alone is not the worst thing that can happen. Dying surrounded by people who secretly wish you'd hurry up so they can cash in, that's worse. I'm 71 years old. I have a partner who loves me. I have grandchildren who are learning that integrity matters more than money. I have friends who show up because they want to, not because they want something. And I have peace, real peace, the kind that comes from knowing I stood up for myself, that I didn't let fear or guilt turn me into a victim. Gregory sent me one more message 6 months ago. Dad, I've been going to therapy, working on myself. I understand now what I did, how I hurt you. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I want you to know I'm sorry. And if you ever want to talk, I'm here. I read it, reread it, thought about it for weeks, and then I responded. I appreciate you reaching out. I hope you continue working on yourself. But I'm not ready for a relationship yet. Maybe someday. For now, I need my peace. He responded, I understand. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. Maybe he's changed. Maybe he hasn't. Time will tell. But I don't owe him forgiveness just because he's ready for it. Healing happens on my timeline, not his. If something feels wrong, trust your instincts. You might save a life, even your own. I trusted my instincts. I investigated when things didn't add up. I protected myself when the evidence was clear. And I'm alive today because I did. If I'd ignored the warning signs, if I'd let them file conservatorship, if I'd signed those papers Gregory brought, I'd be a prisoner in my own life right now. But I'm not. I'm free. And that's worth more than any relationship built on lies and greed. If this story touched your heart, I need to ask you for something. Please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Because right now, I need to know I'm not alone in this experience. I need to know that someone out there understands what it's like to be betrayed by the people you love most. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is right now. Tell me your story if you feel comfortable sharing it. Have you been exploited by family? Have you had to set boundaries with your adult children? Have you been made to feel guilty for protecting yourself? You're not alone. I'm here. And I'm listening. Every like, every subscription, every comment, it tells me that my story matters, that speaking truth about family dysfunction is important, that we don't have to pretend everything is fine when it's not. For so long, I felt ashamed, like I'd failed as a father, like I should have been able to maintain the relationship no matter what. But I've learned, it takes two people to have a relationship. If one person is taking and the other is just giving until there's nothing left, that's not a relationship. That's exploitation. And you don't have to tolerate it. Not from anyone. Not even your children. I'm 71 years old. I'm in the final chapter of my life, and I'm spending it on my terms. With people who value me. With peace in my heart. That's what I want for anyone watching this who's in a similar situation. Your remaining years are precious. Don't spend them being drained by people who only see you as a resource. Spend them with people who see you as a person, who love you for who you are, not what you have. You deserve that. We all do. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for bearing witness to my pain and my healing. And remember, you're not a bad person for protecting yourself. You're not selfish for keeping what you earned. You're not cruel for setting boundaries. You're human, and you're worthy of respect, even from your own children, especially from your own children. Take care of yourselves, trust your instincts, protect your peace. And if you're going through this right now, if you're in the middle of a battle with adult children who've turned on you, know this. You will survive, you will heal, and you will find peace on the other side. I promise.